everybody. I'm Romina Van Dyken from Out of the Doldrums. I have the distinct pleasure today of spending time with the one and only Rachel Atcheson. Welcome to Maui.
Thank you so much. Maui is extraordinary, so I am indeed the lucky one.
Treated you okay so far?
Oh, God. Beyond.
Do you have one favorite thing you've done so far in Hawaii in general? Can you pick one?
I'd say seeing whales. That's not a normal thing for me at all. And to see the babies after their moms, it's priceless.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I'm so happy you're here. So guys, Rachel is amazing. She has a long list of accomplishments already, and you have so much career ahead of you. Like, it's so awesome. So she's got the coolest title ever. I don't think people in Maui ever get titles like that.
Yeah,
so
it's an interesting one. I'm the deputy strategist for the Brooklyn Borough president. So
Deputy strategist.
Deputy strategist.
So what exactly is that? Like, what do you do?
Yeah, so the borough president, to give a little bit of context for his health journey, he had type 2 diabetes, and it was so bad that he was blind in his left eye, tingling in his fingers and toes. He then switched to a whole food plant-based diet, and he got his sight back and reversed the diabetes. So about 2 years ago, he brought me onto his team, and I now lead his healthy eating initiatives, and that's his top priority.
That's incredible. So he got his sight back. That's unheard of.
It was the sugars in the eye from the diabetes. So when he got rid of those sugars, he got his sight back. And it's actually not incredibly uncommon if you eat the healthiest of the plant-based diets.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So what exactly are you doing, like, in the capacity of your role now?
Yeah. So our two biggest achievements have been the Meatless Monday program launching in schools, hospitals, and jails. We're still working on homeless services and child protective services. But for those three institutions, schools, hospitals, and jails, it's an entirely vegetarian menu every Monday. And we are moving it more in the direction of plant forward to hopefully eventually have it be a plant-based Monday.
Definitely. But that's a huge win.
It is a
huge win. Did it take you like a long time to implement that, or like from idea inception to actually implementing? What was the time frame for that?
Yeah, from idea to a pilot, because we had a 15 school pilot, that was about a 3 to 4 month period.
Okay.
And then the pilot went on for about 6 months. And after that, we launched in all New York City public schools under the guise of Jumpstart Monday. And then the year later, we launched under Meatless Monday. And turns out there was not a revolution when folks didn't have the meat on the table for every single meal. So it ended up being really successful, and we're seeing positive results. People are excited about it, and that's kind of what we want to build momentum.
Definitely. So schools, jails, and hospitals, you said.
Yes. And so the schools, actually, the meal is completely meatless. In hospitals, the default is meatless, and I think it's a really cool way to use behavioral science, because it turns out that when the chef special is meatless, 90% of people are ordering the chef special.
Sure.
So, but if they wanted to eat meat, they could order it. It's just not the default. And so it's very exciting to see that if we just give people the proper nudge in the right direction, they'll do it. So that was achievement number one. Achievement number two has been our plant-based lifestyle medicine program based out of Bellevue Hospital, run by Dr. Michelle McMacken.
Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so it's a $400,000 investment the first year for the program. And basically it's an outpatient clinic where you walk in, you want to reverse your type 2 diabetes, your heart disease, et cetera. And you are kind of walk through the process, both philosophically, both behaviorally. And it is much easier when your doctors say this is something that you can do and survive and thrive, as opposed to going into a normal clinic where the doctor might be more hesitant and say, oh, you should still eat your meat. So this clinic was supposed to be between 100 and 200 patients in the first year. It has 700 people on the waiting list.
Wow.
It's incredible.
So it's kind of like a medically supervised transition.
Exactly.
And if you have a medical condition, it can be scary to try to go completely whole food plant-based when you don't have that medical oversight.
And we're seeing even the small bits and pieces. I mean, it's not as if someone needs to go 100% whole food plant-based.
Sure.
The more plants they're eating in their diet, the better their condition is going to get.
Absolutely. Wow, that's super exciting.
Yeah.
So how long?
Yeah.
Oh, good. I was just going to say, like, how long is it going to take you to take care of all the 700 people on your waiting list?
Yeah. So realistically, the clinic can take about 200 a year. So it will take several years to actually get to the people who called in last week. But we have our hospital system is 11 hospitals throughout New York City. And so we're expanding it to one more hospital. The goal is one more hospital in 2020, and then hopefully another one or two in 2021.
So you're bringing on more people to the medical team as well, and all of that.
And just educating the medical team that's already in place, because
For sure.
the folks there, medical folks, they got into this profession for the right reason. They want to help people.
Of course.
And so when you give them the tools that they can reverse someone's disease that they didn't think was possible because they didn't learn that in med school, it's truly a phenomenal gift. And we're seeing several of our doctors really catch on to it.
Yeah. One of the things that I've seen in my colleagues, at least, is once they figure out that, you can reverse diabetes, it's almost like they almost feel betrayed. Like, why didn't I learn this in medical school? Why didn't nobody tell me this? And they've been spending years treating these chronic diseases, and it's wonderful information.
Yeah.
So very cool. So you live in New York City.
I live in New York City. I've lived there for the past 3 years.
How do you like that?
Well, I can say it's different from Maui for sure.
For sure.
It is very high pace. My day starts out around 7 a.m. and I get home around 11 p.m. So it is very different, but I love it. It's the impact that one can make when moving institutions on the large scale, such as New York City, is truly phenomenal. And we're excited to see the health of our residents improve, and I know that it will through the policy changes that we're making. So I love New York. There's everything you could possibly want there, and and more. So I've learned a lot. Started taking meditation classes in New York City that I did not do in any of the other cities that I lived in, and yeah, I'm loving it. It's great.
So you had made a statement the other day that kind of stuck with me, and that was, you talked about wherever or whatever you could do to make the most change is what you want to do in your life. So it's almost like you've dedicated your life to trying to make big changes, which is incredible and respectable.
Well, thank you. I think we all do that in our own way. I suffer from depression. It's been something I've had for the past 10 years. And I find that the best way to overcome the depression is to find your purpose. And my purpose has been moving the needle in a plant-forward direction, both for the environment, for animals, for public health. It all melds together beautifully. And it's definitely given me a leg up in fighting the depression.
Absolutely. That's great.
Yeah.
For you to have such a sense of purpose, I do think is unique. Even though you say everybody has it, I do think it's very unique. And the sense of purpose is one of those things, I'm sure like the blue zones as far as longevity and just staying relevant throughout your life. Like, a sense of purpose is so important.
And I'm very lucky also to work for a man that also has this sense of purpose. So for me, when I went vegetarian and vegan, I got rid of my eczema. I had horrible eczema, and it was an amazing feat, because for 18 years I used creams every night, and then after I went plant-based, I got rid of my eczema. It was amazing. But for the borough president, he actually helped his mom of 80 years old transition to a plant-based diet. And she, after being on insulin for 7 years, got off insulin at 80 years old.
Wow.
Versus her diabetes. So it's purpose. Purpose can, I think, come from a deep spot. And I'm lucky that, I found someone also that shares the mission.
Nice. Yeah. So you were talking about when you started going plant-based and vegan. When was that, and how did that come about?
Yeah, so I was a senior in high school, and I was 17 years old. I had recently, I was in an environmental science class and learned just the inefficiencies of animal agriculture. You have to feed a cow 10 calories to get only 1 calorie of meat in return. It's extremely inefficient. And then when I went vegetarian, I thought to myself, wow, this is actually way easier than I expected it to be. So I'm a go big or go home person. So I was digging into other reasons around plant-based nutrition and other reasons around veganism, and found out just how horribly we treat animals in factory farms. And so then I went vegan, and then the eczema went away, and I started looking into it for health reasons, and it's just kind of it spiraled from there. But yeah, it was my senior year of high school was definitely a different year for me.
And how did your parents handle you coming home and saying you're going to be a vegetarian and then a vegan?
Yeah, it was a little rough, my father asked me to move out. So my mother loves me enough that she was like, no, Robert, she is staying here. But interestingly, a few years down the line, he went vegan. So he jumped on board. And
tell me the story about how you got him to do that.
So I have always, I am a part of the punk rock hardcore community, and going to shows, I was the only person who didn't have a tattoo. And I love tattoos. I think they're beautiful. They can be when, not doing the stick and poke yourself, but they can be wonderful. And my father hates tattoos. He just thinks that I'm going to regret it. He thinks that it's just not how I should be treating my body, etc. So to each their own. But when he said, Rachel, you're not getting a tattoo when you go off to college, I said, I don't like that you eat meat, so let's finagle a deal here. And so we made it so that he went pescatarian because he thought he wanted to live on a boat and fish for his retirement. And I had the deal was to not get a tattoo during college. I graduated a year early, so I graduated in 3 years instead of 4. And then at the end of college, I said, okay, let's relook at that deal. And he said, I still don't want you to get a tattoo. He thought I would change my mind in that period. I still don't want you to get a tattoo. And so I said, well, I don't really like that you're killing yourself slowly by eating, these high cholesterol foods. How about you go plant-based? And he then went vegan. And he has not turned back. He loves it. He is such a nerd about nutrition now. It's amazing. And that's the deal we struck. So it's a 10-year deal. I've got a few years left, and then I'm going to reevaluate whether I want to or not. Don't know.
Do you have any predictions about how that's going to go? Hard to say.
I don't know. I really don't. I still think tattoos are absolutely beautiful. But I do think it was wise to not get one when I was 18. So in that sense, I'm very grateful that we struck this deal.
Right. That's, I think, the best story I've ever heard.
He's a keeper.
Wonderful.
After he went vegan, he wrote a piece for USA Today entitled "Real Men Don't Eat Meat," and that was a revelation because he grew up slaughtering pigs. He grew up hunting and trapping, and to go from that to being very much an enthusiast of the vegan lifestyle is pretty amazing.
That's such a transformation.
Yeah.
Cool. So you are a girl with huge dreams. Where do you see yourself, let's say in 5 years? What do you think you're going to be doing, and what projects would you like to be working on?
That is a great question. I don't have a straightforward answer because I think life has taken me in a direction I never expected. I was involved with the anarchist collective on my college campus, and now I work for New York City government. So to have thought that I would be here right now is just so far from what I envisioned when I was growing up. So I'd say the world is the oyster, and who knows where it's going to point me. For sure. Wherever I can do the most good is kind of where I see my heart and soul. But that can take a lot of different routes. It can be the public health route. It can be working in the alternative protein, sort of the mock meat, the alternative food product market. It could be in the environmental sector where climate change is very much upon us, and we need to sort out, what our next steps are. Right. Because at this point, I I have a little bit of a doomsday approach of I think we may have gone too far, and how we're gonna recover if we don't recover soon is a huge question.
For sure. A lot of options then.
Wherever I can do the most good, that's what I want.
So backtracking a little bit to the alternative meat, that industry is growing. It is just exploding in popularity. It's so funny. There's people in my workplace that are not vegan that tell me they prefer to go to Burger King and get the exactly. So for me as a physician, from a health standpoint, sometimes I do have concerns about the nutritional value of these products, the heart healthiness of these products.
100%.
I would love to see an alternative meat that tastes very good, that's palatable, but also has a really good health profile. Are you aware of any of those yet?
So I am aware of some that are more heart healthy. So for instance, Hungry Planet has a great product that is, looking at its specs, it's fairly decent.
Sure.
But I also think the major, one of the major reasons why I love promoting alternative proteins, even though I don't think that it's something we should be eating every day, is just the behavioral change that someone is ordering something different that they have not ordered in the past, that they're now capable of saying, oh yeah, I don't have to always order the same thing. And that is huge in a world that is so sensitive to what you've always done. So I think it's a really important part of the movement and part of the journey.
Right.
It is just being able to say, okay, I go to Burger King 3 times a week. As someone who doesn't really care about my health, let me try this Impossible. Oh, it tastes good. Oh, I don't feel as tired after. Oh, I wonder what meat does. Why am I tired after I eat meat? Those questions kind of spiral out of control, and you find that there are wonderful reasons to be eating differently. And I think it just catches on. So I also am not promoting the Beyond Burger, the Impossible Burger, for many meals a week. But I think it's a really positive step in the right direction.
Definitely. It's so positive, and you're right. If you can spark that question of interest in somebody, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. But on the flip side, to play devil's advocate, I don't want people necessarily to think, oh, I'm eating a Impossible Burger, so therefore I'm healthy. I'm healthier, and thinking, well, I'm plant-based. I'm healthier. I'm not going to get heart disease, but living off of, Burger King.
Yeah. So. And it is interesting because I don't think that Impossible has ever made that a part of their marketing campaign.
That's so true.
I don't think they ever say, oh, we're healthier. They definitely don't have the cholesterol that comes from an animal product. Correct. But realistically, I don't think that has been their motto. And so it's really interesting to hear people and the reasons why, and they do think it's healthier, which we just need to be cognizant. Yeah.
Right. And, many things that are unhealthy are vegan.
Yeah.
Oreos, French fries, all that. There's a lot of junk food that's vegan. So the other day, we went on this hike and we were going up this steep little cliff thing, and Rachel's in front of me and she's like a mountain goat. You just climb up there. I was so impressed. But in any case, long story short, you are super fit. What do you like to do for exercise?
So that's actually hilarious that you say I'm super fit, because I never exercised until about 3-4 years ago when I joined a running team called the Strong Hearts Vegan Power. Anyone can join it. We do 1 or 2 races a year. Ragnar, where you run 200 miles divided by 12 runners, 2 vans, you leapfrog, etc. Really fascinating time. And it's a great way to get out the message because we're wearing these big shirts that say Vegan Power.
Nice.
And so I just run a little bit, but then in New York City, because of how fast paced it is, you have to walk everywhere. So I had someone visit recently and they walked 15,000 steps in a day. And I was like, oh, it didn't even feel like that much. That is just my normal.
Right.
So I don't do intensive. I don't have a gym membership. I used to do November Project a little bit more. I recently I won a Peloton bike. And so I'll be starting to do that more.
Nice.
But that is, it's a 3-week-old baby for me right now. So it's not a part of my normal routine yet. But
very cool.
Yeah.
Throughout your career and what you've been doing, have you been influenced by, I know you've probably been influenced by many people, but are there a few in particular that stand out as far as role models, key influencers in your life that kind of helped you form you and the decisions that you make today?
Yeah, absolutely. I surround myself with people that I look up to constantly. I think it's the best way to have mentors is just to be surrounded by them and kind of get that constant input. So some of my favorite people, Josh Balk, he works for the Humane Society of the United States, also co-founded Just, and he's an amazing individual. Alexis Fox, co-founded Lighter, Dr. Michael Greger, nutritionfacts.org. There are so many heroes that it's hard to even put all of them on one list.
Totally.
So there's a lot of people out there that I look up to, a lot of people I look up to.
And you have people, I'm sure, looking up to you and following you too.
I have a nice little intern army. We've
Nice.
got, we're at 4 interns right now, and we have a blast. The stuff that we're able to do is really fun. So we just finished sending in a letter to the Department of Education last week about a non-dairy pilot, trying to get a pilot in 3 schools per borough for a year to see what the uptake is. Because right now we live in a extremely classist world where you need to get a doctor's note in order to be served the alternative milk.
Wow.
Who has time to go get a doctor's note?
Otherwise, you get the dairy milk.
Otherwise, you get the dairy milk. And so we've asked the Department of Education to look into the possibility of serving that non-dairy milk without the necessity of a doctor's note. So, and that was an intern's idea. So
that's beautiful.
Yeah. I've got some kick-ass interns. I love them.
For you, having done what you've done, do you have any advice for me as I go forward, trying to improve food, say in my hospital? I have to tell you, my hospital food, we do our patients a disservice. Right. We give them horrible food after they've had heart attacks. They're getting burgers and fries, etc. What suggestions do you have for me?
Well, and this does not make it any better, but you're not alone.
Yeah.
Every hospital. I remember I visited my aunt in a hospital in Iowa, and the elevator, every sign is black and white, but McDonald's paid for a color sign. So you saw the floor to go to was the floor that had McDonald's. So you're not alone in terms of what to do. I think that there's a couple routes, and I actually have a document on how to make a hospital more plant forward that I'd love to send you.
I'd love that.
But there's a couple easy things. I mean, one, getting in a hospital setting, getting forks over knives to play on repeat in the waiting room or in inpatient televisions. Just kind of one of those simple low-hanging fruits since it's free.
Yeah.
For other physicians to do grand rounds on plant-based nutrition, so that they begin to awaken to the knowledge as well of lifestyle medicine, and going to conferences. The Plantrition Project has a wonderful one. American College of Lifestyle Medicine has a wonderful one. And then looking at what is served to patients. So this, usually hospitals will either have Sodexo, Aramark, or Compass as their food service provider. Each of those have plant forward approaches, but a lot of times your food service director needs to be asking for that. So there needs to be that political will. And I think that's where you come in urging that food service director to change it up, to make the default the vegetarian, for instance, to make the vegetables the first thing you see when you're going down the line, because people load up at the front of the line.
Right.
And then by the time they get to the vegetable sides, they're like, oh, I'm full. So there's a lot you can do with your food service, your dining services. And then trying to get your marketing team on board so that they're making signs for Meatless Monday, for instance. Getting your CEO on board to know that lifestyle medicine is the way of the future. Our healthcare system is completely unsustainable. And if we don't change fast, all of our taxes are going to increase exponentially. I mean, there's
We won't be able to afford it, period.
yeah,
We won't be able
yeah.
to afford
And
healthcare.
I mean, we're running out of insulin. I mean, there's a plethora of reasons why we cannot continue the way that we are doing now. So there's a lot of ways to kind of push this system in a more plant forward direction.
Definitely. Wow, those are some great tips. Yeah. I'm excited to start working on that. Things I wouldn't have thought of, like the vegetables at the beginning of the line.
Using behavioral science is crucial, for sure. Using psychology to enact change is, yeah.
So Rachel, people I think are going to be very interested in following you and figuring out what you're up to, etc. Where can they follow you, contact you, see what you're up to? Or do you have any speaking things coming up, anything like that?
So I am on social media, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You can find me there. My email is a great route. So if anyone has questions about any sort of advocacy they can be doing, I'm love connecting with people. So it's just my name, Rachel Atcheson at gmail.com.
Nice.
And yeah, and then in terms of speaking engagements, this past weekend I spoke at Yale's Environmental Law Conference. It was fantastic. I did have to call them out a little bit on the abundance of meat and animal products that they were serving for dinner. In a very delicate way, we can all grow, we can all be evolving, and I think we need to see environmentalists kind of embrace this conversation more than they are now. So spoke there and have a couple other smaller speaking engagements, but I'm mostly in New York City, Boston, DC, and yeah, would love to meet up with various folks who watch your channel in New York. Yeah,
very good. Well, that's good to know. Well, Rachel, thank you so much for spending the time just to speak with me today and talk a little bit about policy and what you do, and your work is so important. You are very much appreciated.
Well, thank you so much. I am so grateful that we now are in each other's lives. And
definitely.
Yeah.
I'm going to come visit you.
I'm excited to host y'all in New York City. It's going to be great.
Yeah. And now you need to take more vacations and not be a workaholic and come out here a little more.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see about that.
Perfect. So that's a wrap, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Please support our channel. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Feel free to reach out to Rachel. She's got all of her contact info. I'll link it down below. If you like this video, like I said, give it a thumbs up. If you want to show us some real support, subscribe. We love hearing from you guys, so please comment below with your thoughts on the video, suggestions, comments. If you know of any good tips to get my hospital to have healthier food, please let me know. I would appreciate that. Other than that, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and until next time, aloha. Take care.